biggest issues plaguing modern men is that the vast majority of them lack a tribe of other virtuous, trustworthy, masculine men who gather for the sole purpose of improving themselves and their lives on a daily basis. Most men simply float through space, working a dead-end job, only to go home to a nagging wife or girlfriend that doesn't respect them. Their friend circles are nothing but fat, low testosterone losers who are more concerned with what sports teams are playing this weekend and what bar they're going to watch the game at. If these men are lucky enough to unplug from the comforting lies that modern society sells them and decide they want more out of life, they look around and realize they need to get into a better room. That's where a private community of men chasing excellence comes in. Men in our community have all committed to being the best versions of themselves that they can possibly be. They willingly run toward challenges, knowing that pushing themselves out of their comfort zones is the key to unlocking their true potential as men. If you're ready to take control of your life back and curate a network of successful and knowledgeable men, now is the time to seize the opportunity.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Chopping It Up, episode 156. Moff and I are back in the house. What's going on, brother?
What's happening? Good to be back.
I'm sick as a dog. That's what's happening, man.
Yeah, that was me over the last couple of days.
For a week, I've been cranking out some podcasts. This is my second one today. I had Max Bernier, the Libertarian Party leader.
Oh, right on.
Had it on today, which was interesting. But yeah, we got a whole bunch of stuff going on. I got a bunch of bookmarks. I was just thinking as I was watching the preview intro, I was talking to Christopher earlier today about that Algonquin trip. It's going to be really good, man. I'm stoked about it.
Everything's cranked up to 11 this year. I mean, like the stuff that we're doing, everything that we did last year, the Algonquin trip, we talked about the San Diego SEALs experience. I've been talking to those guys, that's going to be, I don't want to give too much away, but it's going to be a 2-day event versus a 1 all-day event. It's going to test people, man. It's going to be, they're putting together a mini crucible for us, which is it's a model or a modified version of the 54-hour experience that all Marines must go through to become Marines. So, the Algonquin trip, 4 days last year, 5 days this year, a lot more hiking, a lot more portaging, paddling. This is a year where we figure out who's who.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know too much about Christopher, but he's a bit of a world traveler, done sailing trips, like 1,000-kilometer bike trips and stuff like that. So I'm going to have him deliver a talk at the 1% Forum event in October for the community. If you guys want to get in on the community, you want to go to the website below or just go to richcooper.ca and you can find the community tab and you can start with the School of Unplugging, which is usually the best place. Let's see here. What should we kick off with today? Oh, we should always open with the reminder because I know there's some new viewers. The way the show works, guys, is the chat is set to members only on YouTube. YouTube tells me to do this. It's very straightforward. It's set to the lowest membership level possible, 99 cents. It helps support the channel, and it also helps grow with the algorithms. If you have a question, super chat it. We'll throw it up on the screen. We'll also drop the join link for you guys on YouTube if you guys want to hop in and ask a question after we do the ad break, kind of like halfway through sort of thing.
It's pinned. Chat link is pinned. So it's up there. Guys want to use that.
So get it on it. Let's see. So, Donald Trump was...
It's inauguration day. Yeah. So today's inauguration day.
That was pretty interesting.
Definitely. I mean, I didn't tune into all the festivities. I watched, his inauguration, getting sworn in and everything like that. And that was cool. Just as big of news before he was sworn in, Joe Biden's essentially last remaining acts or last acts while he was still in office were to dish out those last minute non-specific pardons to Fauci, certain military members and his family, essentially, which is really interesting because what a lot of folks may not know is that pardons are not just this blanket thing where if you have a pardon, you can do whatever the hell you want, or this is what he gave Fauci was a non-specified or non-specific pardon, which didn't identify him as culpable of any crime or didn't say based on this and that, which there's a lot of moving parts, but essentially this goes back to when Gerald Ford pardoned Richard Nixon, but this was never challenged, or the non-specific pardon was never challenged constitutionally. It was never taken to court. So there's a question whether it would hold up. You know, people have said Trump's DOJ could take it to court. They could essentially, you know, you may be pardoned from a crime, but that doesn't mean you don't have to stand trial. And there's even Fauci came out and even made a statement saying, on one hand, so a pardon doesn't actually go into effect unless you accept it. So you have to accept the pardon, which also is an admission of guilt with the way that the law is written, at least is the way it's explained to me and how I understand it. You know, the internet lawyer that I am, but he came out and made a statement that said, I haven't done anything wrong. I'm not guilty of any crime, but I am thankful and I acknowledge this gesture by Joe Biden. So kind of throwing that in there, that he acknowledges and accept. I didn't do anything wrong, but I acknowledge and I accept this pardon. You know, and it's just, this is the dirty, dirty administration that we were dealing with the last 4 years. I mean, it's going to go, he's one of the worst presidents the United States has ever had. I hope he's the worst that we ever have in my lifetime. I hope that nobody ever comes into that Oval Office as bad as Joe Biden and, or the people that were his puppet masters over the last 4 years, because he certainly wasn't putting together coherent or rational thoughts over the last 12 to 18 to 24 months, as we can all see. And it's really embarrassing. It's a stain on the history of this country. It's a stain on what people think of when they think about the United States. It turned us into a laughingstock. And I'm not the kind of guy that thinks that everything is going to be amazing and sunshine and rainbows with Trump in office. I think there's going to be some good that's done. I think most people's lives day to day are going to largely remain unchanged. But I think we're going to see this every 4 years until we're both in the ground. So all in all, it was a good day. And there were some reasons to be excited. There's some things to look forward to, certain executive orders that are being signed by Trump, a lot of things put in place by Biden that were detrimental that are being reversed. So overall, it's a good day, but you know, tomorrow the work begins anew.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it all unfolds. I caught a few of the highlights of the inauguration, and I kind of queued one up.
See Elon's Roman salute. That's
yeah,
all
Elon's
talking
salute was,
about.
yeah, you know, his salute was funny, and then there was, you know,
So
of course,
funny.
this clip here of Zuckerberg looking at Lawrence up,
It's so good, dude.
which is, you know, he's just a man, but look at his wife, though.
Just
I mean,
a
like, why
man.
wouldn't he
Yeah.
look,
I mean,
right?
hey, look, if they're out there, take a look. What are you gonna do?
But I mean, I don't know. Bezos he seems like a cool dude. It's just I wouldn't have let my chick walk into a presidential inauguration wearing like a lingerie top with a sport coat over it. It just didn't. It wasn't a good look.
Yeah. No, it rarely is when it comes to that guy and that chick. But yeah, I mean, I think we'll see him a lot more in the public eye over the next couple of years as well. You know, and these guys are getting vocal, and these guys are they're shouting and they're loud and they're boisterous, and now just seeing if they can get things done. I mean, there's already big initiatives for, you know, mass deportations in large cities that are going to continue, apparently start tomorrow and continue on through the end of the week. So this could be a very different looking country over the next couple of weeks.
Did you ever see that video? I think it's either bitch resting face or resting bitch face video.
Well, maybe not the specific. I know the term. I don't know. Oh, God.
It's an older video, right? It was kind of like a satirical take on women that have like a permo kind of like resting bitch face.
Yeah, just
if anybody ever asked you what resting bitch face looks like, you can show them this
right
photograph.
there.
It's like a screenshot of I don't know, I guess Superior Court justices. I don't know.
I think that's Sonia Sotomayor. Yeah, Supreme Court justices, or a couple of them.
They don't look happy.
No, of course not. Yeah, I mean, you know what the weird part about all this, man? It's, you know, I was talking to a buddy of mine, and we think they're crazy, and we think they're insane not to notice that they're crazy, and they think the exact same things about us. It's just, it's you sometimes gotta ask yourself, do you really think these people think the things that they claim? And I don't know. Sometimes it's just baffling the things that people will believe, but It's why we don't deal with everybody. It's why we draw a perimeter and we deal with the people we want to deal with.
Yeah, hell yeah. So he made an announcement during the inauguration, I don't know, part of the speech, and he said, we're back to 2 genders.
Yeah.
We're going to get rid of all this wokeness and the ideology. So it's like, that's great. So like, are we back to using, terminology like gay and retarded again? And can we call people that are trans mentally ill? Like, are we back to that position? Is that where we're at?
Yeah. I mean,
great.
We got to go 100. We got to go all the way, right? We can't half-ass it. If we're going all the way back. We've got to go all the way back. So
grab some white tabs here. So one of the things that I bookmark here, and this pops up on ladies' night all the time. I mean, we've talked about this live, we've talked about it off air, but women have a habit of not being particularly honest when we talk to them on ladies' night, and they're not trying to be deceptive. We mentioned this. They're not trying to lie. They don't even overtly think they're lying, but they're answering questions in such a way that it protects their reputation. So, this is one of the Jubilee ranking things, and it's like, this is the final ranking by women, and this is the final ranking by men. And, it's the same 5 gals. And when women rank the prettiest girl, they'll put, the obese one at number 2. They won't put her at number 1. They'll put her at number 2 because, she's got to get upward near the front so she doesn't feel bad about the whole thing. And then this one got number 1. And this gal over here, they made number 5. But when men rank, they take number 5 and they put her in number 1. They take the obese girl and they put her in number 5. Isn't that interesting how that works? Like, when you ask men a question about attractiveness, we'll honestly tell you what's attractive in a lineup, but women will do it in such a way to improve the value of a low value woman, just because.
Well, there's a theory behind this. There's a theory behind, well, it's not necessarily, that's certainly part of it. You want to feel bad, you want to protect feelings and all that nonsense. But I don't remember who put me onto this, but somebody was saying, he was like, well, ask your girl like an opinion, or ask a woman an opinion who she thinks is beautiful, like in a beautiful celebrity. And she will almost always pick a older, maybe much older woman over the hill, think 40s and 50s. And she'd be like, oh, like, I don't know who's the 50-year-old woman now. I mean, maybe back in the day it was Helen Mirren, or it was, who am I thinking? Whatever, Gwyneth Paltrow, it didn't matter. But it's this idea of women are naturally not going to platform and prop up women that they actually think are more attractive than them, because they don't want their men's eyes wandering, or they don't want men to go over there to the hotter women. So they're always going to prop up the fat or the ugly girl or the old broad and be like, oh, she's just breathtaking. And guys are like, well, what are you talking about? But it's because they don't want to be like, oh, wow, yeah, this girl is hotter than you. I'm going to go talk to her and see what's up. So it's all about protecting themselves and actually being low key competitive, and not wanting to prop up or advertise another woman's actual beauty. So I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah. We've often asked ladies on the show when we do ladies' night about girls' night out. And, we often get criticized for stating that it's not a good idea. And if you're in a relationship and you value the relationship, then she shouldn't even be asking you to do a girls' night event. And we have a video clip here of women saying or telling us exactly why it's a bad idea. So have a quick listen here.
So all I have to say is sometimes girls' nights will ruin your relationship.
Honestly, a girls' night out is literally just never a girls' night out.
It's never. Unfortunately, as much as we say it's a girls' night out, it's going to end up in some deep shit.
Chaos.
Don't let your girls go out.
So, she's calling a spade a spade. At least she's being honest about it. But what have we been saying for years, Moff?
Even if things don't happen, you're opening the door for them to happen. You're leaving space for them to happen. You're kind of hoping things do happen, right? Just because somebody didn't steal your car doesn't mean it's still a good idea to park it in a bad neighborhood. All it takes is one time. And it's like, it's always funny, man, because God, this was such a long time ago, but I can't believe the guy admitted, I was talking to a guy, this is back when I was doing stuff on stereo way back. And I was saying stuff about girls' trips. And I said, yep. Yeah. If you're a smart dude, you don't let your girl go on. I'm, oh my God. Like, no, it's controlling, all the hits, right? All insecure, small dick energy, whatever. And I go, okay, when's the last time, would you let your girl go on a girl? She's like, well, I don't have a girl. I'm like, okay, well, when you did, He's like, well, yeah, I did. And she went to Miami. And I'm like, what happened? Well, she cheated on me. I'm like, you're not serious, dude. Like, you're not a real person. You know, and we love to, in this space, and especially commenters love to do this. That's not real, or that's fake, or that Reddit article is fake. You may be right. I have a hard time. On one hand, I have a hard time thinking that people literally spend their free time writing fake fan fiction on Reddit. For, like, if that's what you do with your day, you're a loser. If you're doing it and you're telling the truth, you're still a loser. But there's no reason to think that out of the millions and millions of men out there that are in sexless marriages or not getting laid or can't get girls to look at them, that we have these millions and millions and tens of millions of betas out there that are doing stupid things like this. So it happens. It's just the way that it is. If you play the game of numbers, it's going to happen. But we'll continue to shout it from the rooftops, man.
No, it
We're not
needs to
wrong.
be repeated over and over and over again, and it'll always be pushed back on by the gals, which is fine. We'll deal with it. Another one that I bookmarked here. Just have a listen to this.
Just don't understand why a hot girl would ever go to college and get a real job.
No, I actually have never understood that, because regardless, when you go to college, like, you party. Like, the girls that I know that are in college literally are, I guess, like, themselves out IRL, but not getting paid for it.
Exactly. Like, if you're a hot girl, you can easily just make so much money off of social media, OnlyFans. Like, literally, you just have to be good looking.
Like, did you ever go to college?
I did for a little bit, but I never planned on finishing because I was just like, I know that like I can make so much more money doing something else. I just did at the time because my parents wanted me to.
Yeah.
But once I was able to make enough money, I realized I don't need to go to college. And
I knew I was way too good for college.
yeah, no, why would
Way
you
too
rather
good.
be studying every single day, wasting money on going to school when,
Just to be like a cute doctor? No.
yeah, like we can be a doctor with what we do. We can be a nurse. We can be literally every single,
Yeah, basically every occupation every day.
we just do it all.
You want a doctor today? You want a police officer tomorrow? I'll arrest you.
Yeah, handcuffs and all. Just don't.
So these are OnlyFans
Disgusting.
creators, for those of you that didn't catch it. And it's been said that women for the longest time throughout history, Moff, would get everything they wanted from one successful man, right? Like they would compete.
Yeah.
And they would try to get locked down that one successful guy. But now we flipped it around, and women don't need one successful man, but they can get everything they want from thousands or tens of thousands of nerds paying them $9.99 a month to pretend to be a doctor or a police officer or whatever the thing that's going on or trending for them.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy? I mean, let's call a spade a spade. First of all, some of the stuff they said is bang on accurate. I mean, there really isn't a point. If you're a hot chick, you really don't need a college degree. It's probably to your detriment if you're going to go to college and you think you're going to turn it into a career and you're going to make a bunch of money. We've talked about this ad nauseum. I mean, we understand that you could just go get your MRS degree essentially and find a dude to wife you up and sweep you off your feet and marry you, whatever. And you think it's like, man, like Sims come in all shapes, forms, and sizes. You know, you've got guys that will pay. I mean, again, I don't know if this stuff is true. You just could be doctored, but this Sophie Rain girl says she had one guy that sent her a $12 million. I don't know what it was, because $1 million or her biggest spender, $2 million or something like that. And it's like, you've got guys out there that won't spend $15 a month on a gym membership or on any sort of self-help or a course that will show them the right way to be and what they need to do as a man, the work they need to put in, but they will spend it to look at a girl naked on the internet. Like, that's where most men's priorities are. And that's what they value and that's what they covet. And part of that's biology, and I get it. And it's just, I don't know if we'll ever get out of this. I don't know if we'll ever get off this merry-go-round of, you know, because now that this whole thing, people didn't want to talk about the OnlyFans thing for a really long time. It's only, I think, really recently that it's gone super viral when you're talking about the amount of money these girls are making, and you're talking about these girls that are banging like 1,000 dudes in 12 hours. Now you're getting big pundits like Matt Walsh that are involved and calling it prostitution and saying we need to bring back shaming culture and all that stuff. But we have this constant perpetual game of hot potato where it's like women need to stop being whores. Well, it's not the women's fault this is what pissed me off so bad about ladies' night last week. We couldn't even for a second with these broads stay on the topic of these girls are disgusting immediately. Well, it's the men. The men are disgusting too. The men that all lined up to do it, they're disgusting. Why aren't you talking about them? They couldn't even for a second just say like, yeah, these broads are disgusting and they're prostitutes and they should be ashamed of themselves. And I don't know if we'll ever get off. Well, if the men didn't buy it, then we wouldn't have this problem. Well, if the women didn't make the content, men would have nothing to buy. Well, if men had self-control, well, if women weren't whores, I don't know if we'll ever get off. It's just this endless, it's this endless round and round we go. So again, that's why I just enjoy the decline, man.
Yeah. People hate that. Why don't you do something?
They really do.
Yeah,
they think you should run for office. If you're so smart, won't you? Yeah, man. Like that's what I should do with my time. Totally. I work really hard and I do all this and I make money and I support a family and I become good at something so I can go work for you. Yeah. I don't think so, buddy.
We got a fella here doing some chore play. This is a man that is not being intimate with his wife. Have a look over here at this.
Your wife is your partner, not your mom. Your wife is your partner, not your mom. She is not a living maid or a hired cleaning crew, so she shouldn't have to pick up after you.
Guys like that will do that all day long, but she still won't bang him.
Blink twice if you've got a gun to your head just off of camera.
Yeah.
Like she's like, nope, wrong tempo. Your pitch was off. You're flat. Do it again.
It ain't gonna work.
And it's like the housework stuff is so funny to me, man, because if a woman is doing housework, unpaid labor. If a man is doing housework, what do you want, a cookie? What do you want, a medal because you washed some dishes and picked up some laundry? And then she turns around and says, oh, I'm breaking my back. Bill Burr is ultimately cucked, but his bit about, the hardest job in America. Oh, does your back hurt from bending over all day, putting DVDs into DVD players and pressing the play button? Why don't you talk about the coal miners in West Virginia that have black lung and tell them that being a mother is the hardest job in the world? Yeah. It's peasant work. Like people have been washing dishes and clothes since the beginning of time, since you could even wear clothes. But it's a badge of honor. And here's the big kicker. Women would be doing this anyway if they were single.
Right.
Do you not wash your clothes, wash your own dishes, cook your food? Like that doesn't stop. But again, this is the result of feminism. Anything you do as a woman for the express pleasure of a man makes you less of a woman. The brainwashing runs deep, man.
Ryan Taraban was telling me this story about this client that he had, this woman, and she was offended that her boyfriend, they're living together, wanted her to do the laundry. And she had like a basic job. He was bringing home the bacon, most of it anyway, took care of the bills, utilities, the rent, the mortgage, whatever it was. And she left the guy because he asked her to take care of the laundry, sort of chip in and do something in the household. And then she found herself in a situation like in her late 30s, 38 or 39, now living by herself, paying the full burden of housing, which she wasn't paying before, paying the full burden of groceries, which she wasn't paying before, paying the full burden of meals when you went out to a restaurant, which she wasn't paying before, all because she wanted to have the pride of not doing the guy's laundry that was paying for all that shit before. Like, you can't even make the stuff up, but this is the reality of the world that we live in today.
Part of the deal.
It's part of the deal.
What a terrible deal she made. I mean,
she fucking traded an awesome deal.
Oh my god,
for a shit deal just so she could do her own laundry, so she didn't have to do her
great. So you don't have to throw in a
couple extra handfuls.
Laundry. Yeah,
a couple extra handfuls.
One more. Turn the knob. Press the button.
Never pay for your fucking dinner when you go out to a restaurant.
Unbelievable, man.
To have a man protect you if a criminal breaks in your house.
It's unreal, the delusion they have. Like, I won't do, like, oh my god. Yeah. Good for that guy. Good, glad he got out.
I am sick and coughing and anyway.
Glad that guy got out.
People often ask me about religion. And when people ask me why I'm not religious and why I don't believe in God, I'm going to show them this picture from now on. 4,000 years ago, God had to pick his chosen people. It was a tough decision. He finally settled on the gal on the left.
Yeah,
That's
you
why
showed
I'm
this to
not
me earlier
religious.
this week. I would love to have more guys that are religious call in. I'd love to have more guys that want to kind of challenge and say their piece. I know that our friend Commodus got his panties in a wad. He said he needs 3 hours to explain his position, which means your position sucks. But yeah, man, like we've got call-ins. Like I'd love to talk with anybody about it. I just it's so interesting to me, man. Like having a discussion seems to be off the table, but as soon as we go off the air, the comments, oh my God, you guys need to do this, do that, blah, blah, blah. You know, and then there you go. And they'll whinge all day and they'll be like, oh, like not related. Like, dude, just call in lines open, man.
Yeah. Let's talk about TRT because, you know, you and I are both on TRT. I've been on it for almost 8 or 9 years now. This is Jeff Bezos, 1995 versus 2025. I mean, you throw testosterone, good diet and exercise with supplementation and rest, and it's a game changer as you get older, guys. You don't like this is our oldest, generation, but you can age a lot healthier and a lot fitter than what you could in the past.
He's mid-50s now? Like how is he in the picture on the left?
He's got to be, I'm going to say 50.
He looks older on the left.
8. He does look older on the left, doesn't he?
Yeah. That hair, man, the receding hairline's already come in. It's just this small meek where he's hiding behind the computer. Yeah, man. It's
1964. So that puts him at what, 60?
60. Yeah. Going on 60 if he's not already. No, he'll be 60. He's 60. Going on 61. That's wild.
He looks good for 60, man.
Yeah, he does. He looks mid-40s. He looks great.
We've got so much content in the School of Unplugging when it comes to hormone therapy, testosterone replacement. I have a chapter in my book, obviously, I talked about it in the book. And I mean, most people say that it's complete enough. People that I've talked to that are like biohackers and stuff like that, they're like, yeah, it covers most of it. But if you want to get like into the weeds on hormone therapy, peptides, supplementation, all that good stuff, make sure you join the School of Unplugging because we got loads of classroom material there. You can find that by visiting my website at richcooper.ca and hitting community, and then go into the School of Unplugging.
And you're going to want to know this stuff, guys, because more guys are getting on than ever before, which means people are going to be trying to sell you junk. They're going to be trying to get you on shit that you don't need to be on. Obviously, Rich, you've been covering this stuff for a very long time. Like some of your earliest work was about you were a very early, I'd say, like YouTube pioneer, in my opinion, on guys that were talking about this. Like nobody was talking about TRT 10 years ago. Yeah. Now it's everywhere. Now you can't, go anywhere without hearing it. You can't talk about endocrinology without it. You're seeing guys jump on gear and talk about their cycles and all that. Not that they're the same thing, but when stuff gets popular, you got bad actors and you got people that want to steer people wrong because they're going to make money off of them. So it's just another reason, man, like arm yourself with, and this is not stuff you want to play around with. This is your health. This is your life. This is your longevity. This is your hormones. It's what makes you a man. So don't screw around with this stuff. Like arm yourself with the right knowledge.
Did you see that Netflix documentary on Bryan Johnson, the Don't Die documentary?
I haven't. I mean, I know Bryan Johnson. I've watched very little of his stuff. I just think he looks sickly. I don't even think he looks.
He looks like an android. He looks
unhealthy.
like Data from Star Trek. He's got that very pale white skin. One of the things,
it's crazy looking.
So apparently he's vegan, right? So he doesn't. Well, mostly plant based. I think he has. He eats collagen peptides or something like that, but he's mostly plant based. Is what his angle is, and he says that will allow me to live the longest. And then he posted his blood biomarkers here. They're kind of hard to see.
Yeah, I can't even read them. You have to zoom in, or you just explain it to us.
Bench press is 240 pounds, which is really
it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah,
that's okay. I mean, if you go to the gym, it's very average.
Yeah. He's talking about DHEA, testosterone, like all of those things he's supplementing because he's on TRT. But then he's got his blood labs as well for things like C-reactive protein, his lipids, triglycerides, LP(a), cystatin C for kidney health. And I was looking at some of his biomarkers for his blood labs, and he's younger than me by, I don't know, 6 or 7, maybe 8 years or something like that. So considerably younger than me, but his blood labs aren't that much better. They're a little bit better, but they're not that much better. So like the whole, like I'm not going to die by doing all of this crazy stuff. I don't know, man. Like he's got like his entire protocol and he, his diet and all this sort of stuff. And
Yeah, you
I'm
got to
glad that
think at
somebody's
some
out there
point, like,
testing all this crazy stuff.
yeah.
It's cool, but it doesn't seem to be making like a vast difference, right? And he looks kind of.
That's the thing.
Palish,
Are we talking
you know what I mean?
about like, is his projected age, is he going to live to be 120? Okay, fine. Maybe then we can talk. But yeah, man, if this guy kicks the bucket at 85, I'm not going to be really impressed. I mean, yeah, because at some point you talk about diminishing returns, you talk about quality of life and all that kind of stuff. I mean, look, like you've got to find a balance. You got to take care of yourself, but you can't be bubble boy. You got to be able to do stuff. You got to be able to do stuff that puts your body at risk. You got to be able to adapt to stimulus. You got to be able to come back stronger. Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, yeah, 240 bench. I mean, again, I don't know. He might weigh 150 pounds, 160 pounds, which would be,
I think he's about
more impressive.
170. He's not
Yeah,
super
so
tall.
I mean,
he's about
that's
150 pounds, I think.
okay. So I mean, again, it's not, yeah, and that's not
bad.
surprising. Like it's not like he's throwing down, 500
I'm actually
mgs
more
a
interested
test.
in his blood labs. Like I want to see if I
Yeah.
can get my blood labs closer to his. So I'm going to do some work with George on that because I'm just kind of curious from that angle because it's he's bragging about not dying and shit. So let's see if bald bearded guy can.
Well, I haven't died yet either,
Let's
so
see.
checkmate, Bryan Johnson.
Let me run the ad reel. Let's take a quick break and we'll come back and finish up and then we'll do some call-ins. Can you drop the call-in link if it's not already there?
Yeah, I got you.
This episode is sponsored by richcooper.ca. Brothers, if you're like me and take what you put in your body seriously, you're going to want to use the Unplugged Alpha supplement line. An obsession with absorption is what sets this line apart from the others. You want to make sure that you absorb as much of the supplements as possible so you don't end up peeing out expensive urine. My supplement line is made in the United States from the highest quality domestic ingredients, and unlike cheap supplements from China in plastic bottles, mine ship in dark glass bottles to keep your supplements fresher, longer, and won't seep endocrine disrupting plastics into your supplements. Nothing is a hard tablet. Everything is in an easily digested, bioavailable capsule. You can filter all products by their various categories, including testosterone support, estrogen metabolism, fat burning, immune health, sleep support, and performance. Visit theunpluggedalpha.com/shop and use the subscribe and save option over here to get 10% off your supplement order, or use coupon code ALPHA10 for 10% off a one-time order to try it out. Men, if you want to know everything that I know today that I wish my dad taught me in my 20s, join the School of Unplugging. There are over 30 hours of lessons currently, a well-organized discussion board, and weekly Zoom calls held by experts with backgrounds in strength, nutrition, finance, investing, and entrepreneurship, all for one low monthly membership. Visit richcooper.ca and on the courses tab, hit the School of Unplugging and get started here. Guys, make sure you visit my website for my communities, requesting a private one-on-one consultation, or learning about my future events. And don't forget to opt into my email list over here to get my newsletter. Let's get on with the show. All right, let's resume.
Yeah, I tried to drop it, but it only went to YouTube and Twitch. So I don't know why it didn't go to X or Facebook. So
Yeah, Facebook's not connected to StreamYard today for some reason. I'm not exactly sure why. But yeah, if you guys want to call in and ask a question, fire away. Let's throw up the next one over here. I got queued up. This is your average 21-year-old American gal today.
How old are you?
21.
Are you single?
Yes.
How many guys do you have on your roster?
Too many?
Too many?
Maybe like 12.
12?
12.
So wait, out of the 12 of them, how many are you having fun time with?
Maybe like 5.
5 of them? Okay.
Yeah.
How do you balance that amount of people, though?
You just got to have good communication with them.
No, well, you're being real. I'm glad you're
real.
keeping it real.
I'm keeping it real because Mama told me never to lie.
So you think they know about each other?
Yeah, some of them are in the same friend group.
That's crazy.
No, it's not crazy. It's life.
It's
life.
That's just how it is.
It's just how it is.
Could you ever see yourself taking any of them seriously?
Yes.
Okay, how many?
Just one.
So why aren't y'all together?
Him and I have been seeing each other since freshman year. He's an awfully good guy. He plays a little bit, but I'm toxic. He's toxic too. So
I don't know if you guys caught her t-shirt. I'll just pause it for a second. And she's got one of these bridesmaid tiara things. Like, this is clearly from a bachelorette party, guys. This is, again, another example of why you don't let girls go away for girls' trip if you're in a relationship with them, because these are the kind of girls that they'll be hanging around, right? You know, running a rotation of 5 guys, and at 21 years old, who the hell knows what her notch count is? I mean, she's average at best, overweight, and not even pretty. I mean, to be honest with you, what's your take on a situation like this, Moff? I mean, you're closer to her age than I am.
We should bring back shaming. I mean, this is a result of shame no longer being allowed in the public sphere. You have the most women did an amazing job of running an anti-shame PR campaign where you're not allowed to judge, you're not allowed to criticize, everybody is different, you can't judge, you know, you don't know her story, whatever it is. They've taken the most powerful and potent weapon that we have against women, which is shaming, because women don't want to be shamed because they have the natural inclination of, I'm being shamed, I'm being shunned, I'm being excommunicated from the group, I'm being scapegoated, I'm being pushed out of the tribe because I can't take care of myself because I'm a woman, I'll die. So we've completely eliminated shaming from the public sphere and the public lexicon. And if we would bring it back, if we would just start doing it, if we would just continue to call it out, but it needs to be in record numbers. It has to be bought in on a societal level. I think we're so past the point of no return on so many of these things that stuff like this just pisses you off. And I don't think there's anything. You take that and you show that to your daughter or your future daughter as the example of a girl not to be. And you show them that this is what a disgusting, shameless woman who is unfulfilled and is hollow on the inside is like. And you can see it in her voice and you can hear it in her voice, how she's, like you can clearly, she's a bit uncomfortable, even though she's trying to play a character and she's playing up a part. Enjoy your cats. I mean, I don't know, but yeah, if we don't bring back shaming, then this is going to continue until long after we're both in the ground.
Yeah, I mean, she's in front of the camera, so, you know, openly stating this is the way things are, and this is how my circle of influence operates, and that's how it is. Like, there's no shame whatsoever. And
Zero.
You know, I'm with you on it, man, because it's like, you know, shaming, bullying, whatever you want to call it, you're weak.
It works.
You bully them. You know, you're a whore. You know, you bully them, sort of thing. It's like, you know, you're overweight. You bully them. You're too skinny. You bully. Like, people got bullied, and the bullying modified the behavior. You know, it truthfully did. So, yeah, you know, maybe a few people's feelings got hurt and they cried, and you know, there's obviously the odd self-deletion from time to time, randomly, sort of thing, as a consequence of that, and that sucks. But I think overall, as a whole, when you look at the fabric of society, you know, men being on some kind of purpose, chasing excellence, putting a dent in the universe, learning competency skills, and women being feminine and not promiscuous and all those things are collectively good. But, you know, they want to take all that stuff away from us. Remember the Passport Bro movement? Apparently there's a Facebook group out there called Unhappily Married to a Filipina or a Foreigner Help Group.
Yeah.
Not surprising there. If you're a nerd here, you're going to be a nerd over there. They're going to, you know, they're going to take advantage of you regardless of where you are.
Yeah, that's what a lot of guys don't understand. Like, you're going to be had. Like, if you don't know any better, you're going to be taken advantage of. They can spot a mark a mile away. You know, they're trying to separate you from your money. And whether they're playing the short game or whether they're playing a long game, they're playing a game. I mean, look, I get it. I understand why guys do it. Some guys have had a lot of success with it. A lot of guys have been burned. A lot of guys go out, they bring them back. They bring them back to the States. Terrible, terrible move. It's the worst thing you can do. You're taking her out of the element that created this traditionally or feminine sort of attitude, the culture that came along with it, and you're putting her into you're putting a fish into a new pond. They're going to acclimate to whatever the ecosystem is around them. But yes, if going overseas doesn't magically solve your problems, you just have different problems now.
Yeah. We'll get to the call-ins in a minute. I see Gin and Tonic's waiting there. Hop in.
And we had some girl backstage, and she acted like she was going to
Bushcraft
come
Babe, I
on,
think
and then
it was,
she
if
gave
you
us a little
look
peace
back.
sign, and then I guess she bounced. So that's all right. I
Yeah.
mean, maybe she
Get
was
back
afraid
in
she'd
it.
be shamed.
Yeah,
Maybe
get
she's a
back
girl
in
from the
there.
video.
43 seconds arguing for the 19th Amendment. And the 19th Amendment was what allowed women to vote. So just have a quick listen to here. It's 43 seconds.
So if you guys could change the Constitution in one way, how would you change it?
Perverse gov major.
Georgetown
I was
University.
literally going to say legalize abortion.
Maybe abortion laws, rights to abortion, like transgender rights to have surgery without necessarily parental consent. Yes, you have freedom of speech, but that doesn't mean you have a right to sit there and scream at someone because they choose to change their gender or they love the same sex, things like that.
So should we add trans rights to the Constitution?
Absolutely.
Definitely adding in like policies that like make healthcare more accessible for like immigrants as well as like people in low-income communities. I just think we need to get the old white fucks out of power, but that's not really a constitution issue.
So if you guys could...
Why are women so obsessed with killing babies, giving free healthcare to refugees, and trans rights? Moff, explain it to me. Can somebody tell me?
It's because they are never and will never be a marginalized group of people. They'll never, they live in the comforting blanket that no matter what laws get passed and no matter what policies get pushed, at the end of the day, they're going to be taken care of and they're going to be okay until they get murdered by in RAPED by an illegal immigrant, or 3 little girls get stabbed to death by an illegal immigrant, which is happening and popping all up over the place. Children are being murdered, women are being assaulted, people are being killed, fires are being set by illegal immigrants in California. It's just a matter of time. I mean, it's one of the great things because it's for everybody else, not for me, but everybody else. There was a great thing I saw. This is a couple months back. It might have been like a year or so ago. People were talking about the refugees and people were marching. And I might have talked about this before. This guy was going around with a clipboard and he was going to people that were marching in this, allow refugees or allow the immigrants. And this was fake. He wasn't a real person doing it. He wasn't a real reporter or a media person, but he went around and said, "Oh, are you for, illegal immigrant? Are you for immigration? Are you for housing? Are you for refugees?" "Oh, yes." "Okay, well then will you sign this petition or will you join this list that says you will house them?" "Oh, no, I don't have the time. I don't have the space. I don't have the..." Yeah. It's somebody else. Yeah. I'm all for it until it becomes my problem. It's somebody else's problem. Until then, I'm gonna, "Oh yeah, total rights for everybody." It's people with a childish understanding of human behavior in the world that we live in. And again, it's largely based on the way people are brought up and the way the history books were written and the dopey, retarded ideas that we can ever live in a global homogenized society where everybody gets along in world peace, when that's never been the case in the hundreds of thousands of years that humans have existed. It's just nonsense. But that's brainwashing. It's powerful.
It is brainwashed, and it just goes to show you, like, I remember there was a character on Twitter, he got banned, and I played this video. I mean, you probably remember it, Moff. He said something along the lines of, if they can convince women that mass immigration, abortions, refugees, untested vaccinations are all good, then why can't you convince a woman to love you?
Yeah, why can't you get a girl to like you?
Like, why can't you get a girl to like you if they can convince women to believe all of these things?
Go to college, rack up a bunch of debt, go into a stupid email PowerPoint job that nobody cares about.
Yeah. Pointless job. Doesn't even matter. Yeah. Got another clip over here. I got with the same guy that does the street interviews. Did you ever do like nursery rhymes when you were a kid, or like read them to your nieces?
Kind of. No, not really. That was a little before my time. Who's that?
Do you know who Humpty Dumpty is?
Yeah, of course. I know Humpty
Dumpty sat on the wall.
Oh yeah, of course. I like Andrew Dice Clay's version better.
Yeah, I want to bring you the female version of Humpty Dumpty here. Okay.
Oh God.
How old are you?
I'm 25.
Are you single?
Kinda.
What do you mean, kinda?
I mean, like, I have a baby daddy.
But it's not serious with him.
Fuck no.
So how did the baby come before the title?
So like he's my best friend. We've been friends like kicking it for 4 years. And now we have a baby.
But why not ask him to just be your man and make it official?
Because I'm 25, I don't want to do that.
What are you waiting on?
Like marriage is for the rest of your life. The average lifespan's like 80 years. That's 40-some years.
But you have a child with this man.
And he does what he needs to do for him. So why push it?
But what about the boyfriend title?
I mean, I'm single. I do what I want.
Is that what you want, though?
Yeah. I've been supporting myself since I was 17. So.
Yeah,
Can't even do basic math. She's 25 and she thinks adding 40 to 25 brings you to 80. But yeah, that's one of your typical, broads today. It's like, why should I settle down with the father of my child when I got my whole life ahead of me and, I can do better. And it's like, she's clearly out for the night and he's probably staying home watching the child. Right. Again, this is something that should be shamed. That is not shamed. And, it's celebrated in their head, right? Like there's this whole notion in their minds that this is the way that things are. And it's absolutely fine and acceptable, because if it wasn't fine and acceptable, she wouldn't openly be talking about it in front of the camera, right? You have a look of disgust on your face. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm disgust. I don't even know what to say, man. It's just visceral disgust. I don't know if disgust is even a strong enough word. Like I'm so repulsed by whatever that thing is. Not just physically, but mentally, just the thought process. Like the fact that a human being can exist that's that dumb, that clueless, that speaks so stupidly. It should be like illegal. Like put these people in the camps. Like I'm done with it. You know what? Round them up, put them in camps, put them to work. I don't care. Like fix typewriters. Just give them the most monotonous, useless, numbskull brain job. Pay them in gum because, she definitely blows bubbles. She just chews with her mouth open probably and smacks it and twirls her hair. It's got her fat gut belly hanging out. I mean, and you know what, man? We catch a lot of grief because apparently we don't hold women accountable enough on Ladies' Night. But I would sit here and say, like, we do a better job than this guy who's just like, oh, okay, yeah, totally. Like, go on living the rest of your life. Like, yeah, okay. But I mean, again, it was a waste of time. Like, what are we doing it for? A street interview thing, I think, is played out at this point. But, it is what it is. But, yeah, man, it's every day I ask the Lord to bring us this sweet, sweet asteroid that will reset all life on Earth. But it still eludes me to this day.
So women get jealous around more beautiful women, right?
Oh, yeah.
So this is obviously a setup clip, because they're filming it and they send some girl to sit beside this guy on a bench and he has a look at her with his girlfriend sitting beside her. But I just want you guys to pay attention to the reaction over here. I've had something like this happen a number of times in my life, whether it's something like this on a bench. I remember one time I was sitting in a restaurant and the girl I was seeing was sitting opposite from me and there was a mirrored wall behind me and she could see in the mirrored wall a waitress walking, between the tables, and the waitress looked at me and she smiled, and a natural reaction when somebody smiles at you is to smile back. So I smiled back at her. And I didn't hear the end of it the whole fucking night because I smiled back at somebody that smiled at me. And there was another, situation once where I remember I was on a trip and it's hot. It was down in Mexico. And this girl walked in front of me with ridiculously huge, like fake tits. Like they were 3 seconds ahead of her. Right. So of course it's like, somebody goes and puts 25-inch wheels on a Honda Civic. You're going to look, All right, fine, carry on. Don't hear the end of it, sort of thing. Similar type of situation. I'm curious, Moff, how do you deal with a woman's jealousy around more attractive women than herself?
Oh,
women, if we can put it that way.
You know, it's not your job to quell all of your woman's insecurities, all of her jealousies, all of her fears. It's not your job to be the coochie coo. I don't have eyes but you. I would never. You know what? I mean, look, it's not your job to do that. It depends on how you look at it, man. Like if you think women have agency, then she can figure it out. If you think they don't, then I mean, I don't know why you would be in a relationship with a girl that does that. But no, to that point, hey, I think that's a scummy thing to do. Let's just be clear. I think it's a scummy thing to do is to set people up and then not let them be in on the joke, right? Maybe they went and saw them after, or they went and caught up to them, but now those two people are in a fight, or here's the deal. Let's just take this particular situation. If something like that happens, it's kind of like a weird, innocuous thing, and then she pulls a move, and you clearly go, like, what the hell are you doing? Like, let's get out of here. And the girlfriend, is clearly copying an attitude, being this on her phone, get away from you. Turn on heel and you just walk away. You don't say anything. You don't try to apologize. I wasn't even looking at her. No, you just bounce. You're just like, all right, cool. Like, I'm going to the car. Like, if you're there when I'm there, then cool. If not, I'm leaving you. You know, have fun with your temper tantrum. You just got to let them steam it out, because really what it is seeking for attention. That's all it is. They want you to get their attention off the hot girl and back onto them. You don't negotiate with terrorists, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you don't negotiate with terrorists. Let them have their hissy fit. She'll come and find you when it's over. And if she doesn't, well, then she's got her own ride home she can worry about.
Yeah, I agree with that. They're going to get bent out of shape because, the competition anxiety ramps up. The hamster, starts running on the wheel a little faster. They get worried. I mean, it's my fault that she got the biggest fucking tits she could possibly get and walk in front of me, and I had to look. Like, you're going to look, right? Like, I'm a man. Just like Mark Zuckerberg look at Lauren Sanchez's giant tits and her fucking lingerie top. I'm sure, whatever, that's how it goes. But you shouldn't tolerate the hissy fit. I agree with Moff.
Or you could just turn it on its head, and you can just say, if you seem really angry that she's not hitting on me more, like, why don't I get up and ask her to come join us for a three-way later? Would you like that instead? Oh, no, you're such an a-hole. Like, yeah, okay, that's what I thought. Now can we have dinner, please, or whatever it is, right?
Just leave. Let her have that, that moment to herself. She'll realize, or she should realize, that it's ridiculous and come back and apologize. But I would just leave. It's just not comfortable. Like, he put his hand on her shoulder, try to comfort her.
Shoulder shrug. Yeah.
Like, it's his fault that this broad, sat down beside him, sort of thing. And
she's comfortable being disrespectful like that. Like, that's a big red flag within itself. Being comfortable with the disrespect and being comfortable. Like, if my girl ever did that, shrugged me off, be like, excuse me? I don't think
disrespect.
so.
You
absolutely.
Situation. You do not tolerate any level of disrespect. So that's what you do in situations like that. Let's grab a call in here. We got Gin and Tonics. You want to pull him in and see what he's got? See if he's got a question.
Yeah.
Hey guys, how you going?
What's up, man?
It's going well. How are you?
Good.
What got for us tonight?
Yeah. So I wanted to have a quick chat to you about the clip that you put up about a guy called Bryan Johnson, who I presume is a vegan. Is that right?
Mostly plant-based, but he does take collagen peptides, is what I understand.
Right. So, and this sort of ties in with that clip that you had of the girl with the belly hanging out. I mean, that is just disgusting ill health,
Well, she thinks she can do better. That's why she's out that night.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. And I mean, that just turns into type 2 diabetes, and that turns into burden on our healthcare system. It costs us all money. It's disgraceful, and it's got to be called out, in my opinion. So my question to you guys is, if you're putting up this stuff about plant-based diets, what is your I know what my opinion is. Maybe I'll give it later. But what's your opinion on meat in diets? What's your things like seed oils? What's your view on food industry propaganda, that kind of stuff?
Yeah. Well, seed oils aren't good. They've proven that it creates a lot of inflammation in the body. Seed oils were created during the Second World War as a lubricant, as an industrial lubricant, because they didn't have enough petroleum products and lubricant products. So they use it, to basically lubricate the war machine. And then the companies that were manufacturing it had so much of the stuff sitting around, and it's edible, like you can eat it because it's made from plants. They basically, margarine was their first product, right? Like spreadable, like a product that they said was better for you than butter was margarine, and they made it out of seed oils. But they've since proven that it creates a lot of inflammation. It's not good for you. You're far better off avoiding it. So, I mean, if you watch my channel and some of the podcast interviews, I've talked to a lot of biohackers. I mean, I know quite a lot of them, and it's something I'm personally interested in myself. I don't talk about it a great deal because, people think that I'd spread myself too thin, and, how do you know so much of that? I just sort of keep it to myself, right? I mean, there's a lot of the content that's in my community that I sort of break down. Like I have a lot of protocols for things like peptides, for bedroom fun, like a lot of stuff that like keeps you running properly. But as far as like meat consumption, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, I eat meat regularly. I wouldn't say daily, but regularly for sure. Why?
The reason why I asked the question is because a very good friend of mine here in Australia is a Tasmanian doctor, and he went very public. Well, for a start, he's treating his patients, so he was giving them nutrition advice around reducing sugar intake.
Yeah.
Where it all came from was he's an orthopedic surgeon, and he noticed that there was an epidemic of amputations due to complications of type 2 diabetes. And it was just going up exponentially. He noticed it, right? Purely based on anecdotal evidence. So he looked at the statistics and he worked out that there was an epidemic of type 2 diabetes. And so he traced it right back to food, available food, poor nutrition, food, fast foods full of sugar was cheap. And so he looked hard at, first of all, he started to tell his patients, stop eating processed carbohydrates and sugar and, resolve that, because I don't want to be chopping your limbs off. And he got dragged over the coals by the medical industry because he's an orthopedic surgeon and should not be giving nutrition advice. Can you believe it? Right? And he was demonized. He was threatened to have his license taken away from him. And he found out that it was all being driven by food industry propaganda, the money that was going into research.
Profits.
And
whatever
he exposed the whole thing.
Cheaply, whatever they can make cheaply to sell to people to eat. Yep. And then, when you get sick from eating the cheap crap that you're eating, then they sell you a drug like Ozempic to make you lose the weight. And then they want to sell you diabetic drugs and stuff like that. And
exactly. It's
just but there's not a direct link between sugar and diabetes. That doesn't exist.
Well, it's blood sugars.
Being overweight and obese leads to high risk of. I mean, you can still be obese and overweight and not eat sugar. It's not a direct cause.
Yeah, I'll kind of chime in a little bit deeper on this because I wore a constant glucose monitor for about 10 days. I was going to make a video on this topic, in the car. So I wanted to see what would happen to my blood sugar based on what I was eating, right? And I've got a sweet tooth too, so I can shovel back fucking chocolates like crazy, if I really want to.
McFlurries.
Yeah, sure. But my blood sugar doesn't really move that much because I'm not fat and because I'm active. So like even if I eat fruit or if I have like a sweet dessert or something like that, it goes up a little bit and then it comes back down very quickly. But the problem that most people run into is they just have a sedentary like a sedentary lifestyle. So they sit, they don't move, they don't exercise, they don't walk, they don't do anything. And they eat shit and they eat processed shit and they eat a lot of processed and refined carbohydrates, which spike, the blood sugar. And that's how they end up with problems like diabetes. Like one of the things that I learned, one of the best things to eat for me about an hour before going to the gym, I get these packages of freeze-dried sweet potato or yams from Costco. And they're individually packaged. And there's, I don't know, there's maybe like, I don't know, like one yam in it or something like that. They cut it up into strips, kind of like French fries. And, you know, my blood sugar goes up, and it goes up in the right area, you know, where you want it to. So it shuttles all the nutrients in your muscles during the time of the workout, and it comes back down naturally. So it's an interesting process. Like, if you really want to get into the weeds of like monitoring blood sugar and how certain foods will affect, you know, your sugar levels and how long it takes for them to come down and what happens at nighttime when you're sleeping and all that sort of stuff, there's some good data that comes out of it. I don't think most people need it, you know, to be honest with you, but I was just curious. But
sweet potato is not too bad though, Rich, in terms, it gives you a modest
correct.
uptake
It's,
of blood sugar.
yeah, it's one of the
not
better
huge.
pumps that you want. You want it to come down. But Moff, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I mean, you were talking
No,
about
it's more just, I mean, yes, processed sugar and highly processed foods. It's highly palatable foods combined with a highly sedentary lifestyle leads to weight gain, obesity, and therefore leads to type 2 diabetes. Like you generally, you're not going to see somebody that's got type 2, that's a type 2 diabetic, that's in good shape, that's skinny. Maybe type 1, but generally not type 2. So, you know, there's not a direct line of sugar. It's, if anything, maybe there's research that shows that the type of release or the type of chemical release in your brain when you have sugar is, they've said it's similar to like a cocaine hit. And sugar can be addiction. You can be addicted to sugar. You can have cravings. But, you know, I don't look at sugar as inherently evil. It's the idea that I think most people just don't take responsibility for their own health, and they choose to be lazy, and they choose to lay around. They choose not to exercise. Food certainly has something to do with it. Don't get me wrong. I think we're going to start seeing major PR campaigns for seed oils now that RFK is in office. I think we're already seeing it. That people are trying to downplay it. No, I think like for pushing seed oils. People are writing these papers. Oh, what are seed oils? Are they as bad as everybody says? Well, we did the research, and that's not the case, right? So that stuff's already coming out because you have billion-dollar companies that are dependent on the consumption of seed oils and making cheap, highly processable, palatable foods. So either way, I mean, I eat meat every day. I'm not a proponent of, you know, carnivore or any particular diet or anything like that. I think based on the knowledge that we have and what we know about the human body and the way we process foods and diets, that a well-balanced diet of good protein, vegetables, and fruits is a solid way to go. Limit your grain intake if you can, but eat everything with a purpose. If you understand the way that certain, especially macronutrients have an effect on your body and its performance, that's the best knowledge you can arm yourself with.
You know,
yeah, agreed. We are omnivores, right?
Your body's very capable of processing calories, even shitty calories when you're young. Like I remember in my 20s, I could smoke a big fat joint, have a bag of Crispers or two, a couple of Cadbury cream eggs, and smash it all back with a protein shake, and I'd wake up in the morning ripped at 7% body fat. Like your body can process. It's just, look, as you get older, and as you sort of like move into the autumn years of your life, you really have to be very, very careful with what you're putting in your face and how you move your body around. And, you know, like even right down to the time of the day that you're eating, what you're eating, you know, when you exercise and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, it's incredibly important as you get older to really pay very close attention to diet and exercise with all that, for sure. Otherwise, you're going to look like Humpty Dumpty like we saw over there.
Indeed. Absolutely. It has to do with liver function primarily.
A lot of people have fatty liver disease too, yeah.
That's right. And that's caused by diet, right? And there's a very, very strong correlation with diet. I mean, as soon as you take sugar or carbohydrates into your body, the first thing your liver does is it says to your body, now turn that into fat, or turn anything that's in your body now, in your stomach, turn it into fat. And so if you exercise, you're burning the calories, you can stop it from turning into fat by just simply exercising. So good active, and it's like that when you're young as well. Your liver is more healthy and you're more active, so you can get away with it. But the older you get, the more that liver function sets in, and the more you become exposed to the idea to sugar being and carbohydrates turning into fat. And by the way, your comment about RFK, I think, is right. I think we're going to see some changes.
I hope so.
Yeah. He's certainly on seed oils, which is something that absolutely, definitely has to happen. You know, it's poisonous, and it's absolutely everywhere in the food industry at the moment.
You know, just about every snack, every like even kids snacks and like foods, like I look at the labels of everything now, you know, before I pick it up. And, yeah, like palm oil, sunflower oil, like some kind of seed oil. Like they, you know, they just stick it in there because it's a good filler, and it adheres, you know, to the flavor and the flavoring palette, you know, they're trying to work on, right? Because they want you to keep buying more of this stuff, and it's very hard to find anything.
And it's cheap.
Yeah, it's cheap, but I mean, it's very hard to find anything that's like snack worthy that tastes good that doesn't have seed oil in it, right? Because they shove it in everything.
Yep. Yeah, very, 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 very hard. And if I can just make one more point, just the anti-meat agenda at the moment. One of the things I told you about my friend, the orthopedic surgeon in Tasmania. Yeah. He eventually got an apology, by the way, for being demonized for bringing that nutrition stuff into play. He and his wife have actually been doing additional research as to where all of this anti-meat and pro-veganism propaganda is coming from, because there's a hell of a lot. It's propaganda, right? And so the research they did was they went back to the basis for dietary guidelines being heavily influenced by the food industry, who are profiteering, right, off the development of that. Right. And I won't mention companies, and I won't mention religious groups, because I don't want to see you getting demonetized or anything. But there's religious ideology associated with this. It goes all the way back to the Garden of Eden being the paradise of vegetarian food, and meat eating was considered to be sinful. Right? This is going back 100 years, but it's made its way all the way through. And I encourage people who are watching this, do some research, have a little look at this. It is definitely propaganda. It is definitely driven by money, and it's also driven by religious ideology.
Yeah, there's a lot of profits in there. Thanks, Jim Thomas.
Cool.
That's it. All right. Let's just remove from studio. There we go. I'm gonna leave the show for wrap up now. Moff, my voice is cooked. I'm gonna go for sauna and just chill out. So we'll skip Wahlberger for the time being, because he was on the other day anyway. So
fair enough.
You got anything going on that you want to talk about before we wrap up?
No, ladies' night tomorrow. No ladies' night next week. No office hours on Thursday because I'll be in the air. We're traveling, and next week we'll be both off. But yeah, ladies' night tomorrow. We're gonna have some returning guests, which should be interesting. Everybody's favorite guest, Bella, will be back, and some other hopeful surprises that should be fun and interesting. So make sure to tune in 7 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, she'll probably be talking about dolphins raping sharks again, I would imagine. But
I hope so. I can't wait.
Yeah, you'll run the show tomorrow. We got nothing lined up for next week because we're both off traveling. I'm going to do a show Wednesday, I think. There was a long Reddit post that came up, and it kind of breaks down like how single moms are made from this very solid and consistent perspective. So I might break that down if my voice is good to go for Wednesday. But yeah, you guys watch Moff and Spence tomorrow night. Have an awesome one. Enjoy the rest of you. All right, guys, if you enjoyed that podcast, make sure you visit my website at richcooper.ca to learn more about my courses, my book, The Unplugged Alpha, community, or booking me for private coaching. Also, if you are a Canadian with $15,000 or more of credit card debt and what you are doing right now isn't paying off the balances, then visit totaldebtfreedom.ca and hit Get a Free Quote to see if you qualify to settle your credit card debt for less than you owe today over the next 48 months. Make sure you check out the top pinned comment on YouTube for all the links mentioned during the show. Peace.